Hi, everybody. Welcome to our program. This is English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Okay, hopefully you've got time to listen to our program today. I'm sure you're all busy making preparations for the big day.
Yeah.
Or at least tonight, the big night with your 年夜饭. How would we call that? The New Year's Eve feast that you're going to have before celebrating Chinese New Year tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a fun time of the year over here in Taiwan. I must say I quite enjoy it. For the first time, though, I'm leaving Taiwan to go to America during Chinese New Year. Yeah.
So what are you doing here now?
Oh gosh, I'm going to have to get on that plane quickly, aren't I? Yeah, usually I don't go anywhere for Chinese New Year. I stay here and it's kind of quiet. I expected to see lots of parades with those cute little dragon heads and people dancing in the street, making lots of noise. Instead, Taipei is so quiet. No one's out on the street. And I typically just stay at home and read. It's boring for me.
Right. Well, I think Chinese New Year is similar to our Christmas. People are with their families mostly, and you all stay at home and, eat and, play games together and stuff like that.
Lots of food, yeah.
Lots of food. But, of course, there are other activities that go on during the Chinese New Year. But, of course, today, in our unit on festivals, we're talking about the legends and lore of Chinese New Year. We'll get back to that word there, lore, in just a couple of seconds, but this, of course, is a more traditional story as to where this celebration came about. It's all about the Nian show or Nian beast, the Nian monster, however you want to call it. And I'm sure you're all familiar with this story, but today we're going to present it to you in English in case you want to learn how to tell someone else all about your culture, especially if you're talking to foreigners who don't know about these things.
Yeah.
So let's get to it, everybody. Let's listen to the entire contents of today's lesson, and we'll be right back to discuss it.
Everywhere you look, spring couplets written on bright red paper frame doorways, and red and gold lanterns hang above you. As the unmistakable sounds of firecrackers pop in the distance, you fill some red envelopes with crisp new bills in preparation for the evening's festivities. It's Chinese New Year's Eve, and you're ready to welcome the upcoming year with your family and friends. At Chinese New Year, people traditionally celebrate by wearing red clothing, adorning their houses with red and gold decorations, and lighting firecrackers. These customs are steeped in lore, having arisen from the ancient legend of Nian, a mythical beast. Throughout the year, Nian resided deep in the mountains. Then, on Chinese New Year's Eve, it descended on the villages far below, terrorizing the locals by devouring their livestock, crops, and even children. Every year, people would flee from their homes to escape the beast. One year, however, an old man appeared in a village as the people there were preparing to leave. While most people ignored him, an elderly woman encouraged him to escape with them. Despite her warnings, the man insisted on staying, so the woman allowed him to take refuge in her house. That night, Nian rushed into the village. Drawn to the woman's house, Nian discovered the old man, draped in red clothing and setting off firecrackers. The beast, trembling in fear of the red paper pasted on the door and the loud explosions, fled, never to return. Finding their village intact the following day, the villagers spread the word of their good fortune. The old man's methods of warding off Nian endured and are still practiced today.
Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of today's lesson. Let's take a look at the title first here. We've got legends and we've got lore. To me, legends and lore pretty much mean the same thing. Legends here is countable, actually, but lore isn't necessarily countable.
It's not countable, just...
That's probably the only difference, basically.
Yeah, never put an S on it. It's a mass noun, which means it's a collectible noun like information.
Right, so it's like all the traditions and all the knowledge and all the things you celebrate for a particular country or cultural group or something like that. The legends and lore. Lore is used quite frequently, of course, together with legends. The first paragraph here says, everywhere you look, spring couplets written on bright red paper frame doorways, and red and gold lanterns hang above you. Yes, indeed, people do put up decoration. A couplet, of course, is like a phrase that's poetic that comes in two parts, okay? Two lines of poetry or two lines of verse. And so you've got one on one side and then another one on the other side. There are different phrases that you all use here in Taiwan, but you put them up on your door, one on the left and one on the right. And they're usually, written in black characters on red paper.
They're very pretty. I've never put up couplets on my door. I've put up other decorations, like I had a lantern outside by my door once. So you could also put up some red and gold lanterns. Those are very pretty. I happen to live in the neighborhood of a Shengli Baihuo Gongsi, and they have all of their decorations outside that are up for sale. During different holidays, it's kind of fun, and I always get a couple new things every year, either for Christmas or for Guonian, which is fun. So you can also hear the unmistakable sounds of firecrackers, and they're popping in the distance. Unmistakable means if you hear it, you absolutely aren't confused as to what the sound is. It's absolutely something you're familiar with, unmistakable. So it's something that you just would never get wrong because it's so familiar, usually. It doesn't have to be a sound. It could be the unmistakable stride of a person, how someone walks. People just have their own characteristic way of doing something that becomes unmistakable after you've known them for a while. You're also going to run into something everyone loves, and that's those red envelopes that are stuffed full of crisp new bills. They're brand new. People stand in line at the bank to get those beautiful new bills to put in the red envelopes. And as you're doing all of this stuff, you're in preparation for the evening's festivities, and we're talking about the evening of Chuxi, where all the family gets together and you have lots of food. Festivities is a word we use when we're talking about festivals. Festivities is also a noun, though. It's not an adjective. It just means, how you're celebrating something really great, and, the partying that's going on, maybe have music. All of these things are part of the evening's festivities.
Right, how you celebrate, those are the festivities, but of course the festival is the holiday itself, like a Zhongqiujie, Mid-Autumn Festival, or Dragon Boat Festival, etc., etc.
So part of the festivities for Dragon Boat Festival would be the Dragon Boat races, those delicious rice dumplings, the things that you do for the holiday. Yeah, Tom, that was a great definition, actually. How you celebrate are the festivities, and the festival is the actual holiday.
Right, so I guess for the 4th of July, some festivities would be a picnic outside, fireworks, things like that. That's how Americans celebrate the 4th of July. Well, why do we have all these traditions here? Well, it's Chinese New Year's Eve, which is today, the night before Chinese New Year's Day. Just like Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, this is Chinese New Year's Eve, or Chuxi, as you call it in Chinese. And you're ready to welcome the upcoming year with your family and friends.
Cool.
So, yes, you're welcoming in the new year, and the year has not arrived yet, so we've got the word upcoming here. Upcoming just means soon to arrive. It's about to happen. The upcoming holiday, the upcoming election, my upcoming birthday, etc.
Yeah, my upcoming wedding, things that are just around the corner. It hasn't happened yet. So at Chinese New Year, people traditionally celebrate by wearing red clothing. I think red is such a beautiful color. I have a special Chinese vest that I wear here during the winter. It's too warm to wear even during the fall. It's kind of thick, but I love wearing it because it makes me feel happy. Red is such a happy color. So we also have this word adorning their houses with red and gold decorations. when you adorn something, it's kind of a word we use when we're writing more than when we're just casually speaking or having a conversation. But adorn is a verb that means you just take something and decorate it so it looks more beautiful or attractive. So you could talk about, oh, I've adorned my walls with new paintings from a very famous painter. So it's just a way to talk about how you're making something more attractive. Or maybe you want to adorn your hair, ladies, with some beautiful clips or barrettes or things like that, bows, things that will make your hair look prettier. So we decorate our houses with red and gold decorations, and people also love to light firecrackers, although technically it's against the law. But I still hear lots of firecrackers. Yay!
Yeah, I'm not sure what the law is, because a lot of times when people are campaigning for political office, they will set off...
Or opening a new store,
Right, especially after the holidays are over.
Yeah.
And they have some kind of ceremony to, open the business for the year. They'll set off a bunch of firecrackers. Maybe it's illegal, or maybe the government says, it's a tradition, we'll just look the other way.
I think they ignore it.
Probably. It's a tradition. You can't tell people they can't do that. But these are firecrackers as opposed to fireworks. Firecrackers are just the ones that go bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
But fireworks are the ones that explode in the sky, and you've got different designs like flowers and things like that.
They're colorful.
Right. So those are fireworks. But during Guonian, you tend to set off firecrackers. And those are some of the customs and traditions associated with Chinese New Year. And we'll talk about that some more in just a couple of seconds. But right now, we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 今天我们要谈论的主题呢是农历新年，英文称之为 Chinese New Year。在今天的第一段，你会看到很多在农历新年会看到的东西跟事物。首先呢，在第一句里面，你会看到春联，英文称之为 Spring Couplets。Couplet 指的就是对句或者是偶句诗的意思。然后你还会看到红色、金色的灯笼，我们称之为 red and gold lanterns。当然最重要的，常常在远处响起的鞭炮声，则是可以说 sounds of firecrackers pop in the distance。在这里呢，我们还可以看到红包，一定要记得咯，就叫做 red envelopes。我们来看一下第一段的最后一个句子。It's Chinese New Year's Eve, and you are ready to welcome the upcoming year with your family and friends. 在这里呢，提到的节庆就是农历新年的除夕夜到来了，你要准备好跟亲朋好友迎接即将到来的一年。在这里的 upcoming 当作是形容词，解释成为即将到来的。譬如说，下个礼拜即将要上映的电影，你就可以说 next week's upcoming movies.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about Chinese New Year, the legends and lore of Chinese New Year. And when we left you, we were talking about how you can decorate, how people light firecrackers, just kind of to bring in the holiday. Actually, the firecrackers are supposed to scare away Nian, that beast that is in a lot of legends. So it says here these customs that we do, that we practice, the traditions or customs that you practice, they're steeped in lore. This word steep here is a verb, and we typically use it when we're talking about how we're making tea. I don't drink tea, so maybe, Tom, you can talk about how you steep the tea leaves.
Yeah, well, of course, you put the leaves in the teapot, and then you pour the water in, and then you let it steep for a while. I suppose that's similar in meaning to pao, pao cha, you kind of steep the tea.
Soak it
in hot water. Just kind of let it sit there for a while. Although if you're washing dishes and you want to wait to wash them, and you want to put them in the water for a while, you soak the dishes.
Don't use steep.
Yeah, don't use steep there. Steeping here means you're kind kind of getting a flavor from it over a period of time. So yes, the customs are steeped in lore. In other words, they're kind of based on old legends and old tradition. That's why they exist. Having arisen or having come from the ancient legend of Nian, a mythical beast. Mythical means having to do with myths, a story from the past, like a folk story or something like that. And throughout the year, Nian resided deep in the mountains. So during the rest of the year, this beast, this monster, just lived in the mountains. That's what reside means here. It's just a fancy way of saying you live in a certain place. I work in Geelong, but I reside in Sije, for example.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do whether you're a citizen of the country. Both Tom and I reside in Taiwan, but we're not Taiwanese citizens. We're still American citizens, so it just means where someone lives. So then on Chinese New Year, Nian would descend on the villages below. So, you know, during most of the year, he's deep in the mountains. He's probably hiding. I don't know, he might eat people in the mountains too, but you never see him until Chinese New Year's Eve when he comes down. To descend means to go from a high level to a lower level. If you're in a plane, sometimes the pilot will say, we're descending to 20,000 feet now, or whatever, you know, just we're going from a higher altitude to a lower altitude. So the monster or beast would come down from the mountains and go to the villages far below. And it says here he would terrorize. Terrorize is kind of a hard word to say. Terror, you know what that means when you're very, very scared. But terrorize is a verb, and it means to make people so afraid they're terrified, which is an adjective. And when you're terrified and someone's terrorizing you, it's almost like you can't move. You're so scared, you're so afraid. Well, he would terrorize the people living in the villages or the locals. By doing what? He would devour their livestock.
Oh, no.
To devour is a word we use when someone's eating very quickly at a very fast rate and they're really hungry and they just take it all in. Oh, I devoured my steak tonight at dinner. Usually it's animals that can devour things like that, but sometimes we'll use it to exaggerate about how someone's just kind of inhaling food. They're taking it in so quickly. And what's livestock?
Livestock, okay. Well, remember that's a non-count noun, so don't add an S to that. Livestock just means living animals that are used on farms, basically. You're going to use them to milk them for, milk,
Livestock
for dairy
could be the
products.
cows, yeah.
Or you're going to simply slaughter them for meat, so that's what livestock is.
Could be pigs, too, yeah.
Could be cows, pigs, cattle, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Nian beast is going to come out and devour the livestock. Also the crops, which could be rice, wheat, corn, etc.
The food that you plant in the ground and grow and
That's
harvest.
right, in order to harvest in the fall. And they might even eat children. Don't they know any shame? That's terrible.
Yeah, but kids are so sweet to eat.
Well, I wouldn't know that. I've never I've never devoured any children before.
They're so cute.
But I guess this beast likes children, so every year people would flee from their homes to escape the beast. So maybe they would hear it coming. Oh, no, the Nian beast is coming. Let's get out of here. It's coming to devour our livestock and our crops and even our children, so let's get out of here. Well, one year, however, an old man appeared in a village as the people there were preparing to leave. So they heard the Nian coming, and they thought, uh-oh, it's that time of year again. We've got to vamoose. We've got to get out of here.
Vamoose means let's go in Spanish, right?
I think it's just English, vamoose.
I think it
Maybe
comes
it's from Spanish.
Yeah, because it's not
I'd
English.
Have to look it up, but we've got to scram. You could also say that. We've got to get out of here. But there was an old man there, and he appeared in the village. He just kind of showed up, so we don't know if he was actually a resident of this village or an outsider. So he showed up there.
I think he's an outsider, Tom.
Probably some kind of magical old man who's going to save the village from this beast. And while most people ignored him, an elderly woman encouraged him to escape with them. So, of course, we've got an old man. A more polite way to refer to someone who's, say, over 65 or so would be elderly. So there's this elderly woman, and she didn't really know this guy, but she thought, well, still there, old fella. We got to get out of here because that Nian beast is coming. It devours livestock, crops, and kids. It might even devour you. So we should get out of here. We should all escape.
Well, despite her warnings, the old lady says we got to get out of here. Despite her trying to help and warn these people, the old man, he was the only one who insisted on staying behind. So the woman felt sorry for him, I think, and thought, I better keep him company here. So she allowed him to take refuge in her house. So she didn't want to die herself, but she said, you can stay in my house. To take refuge is to go to a place where you're going to be kept safe from harm or danger. Somewhere where you're finding shelter from someone who's maybe pursuing you, trying to get you to take refuge. Refugees, you hear on the news a lot, those are people who leave their own country because of a war, and they're trying to escape that war, and they go and live in another country. Those are refugees. But to take refuge is to find a place to stay safe. Well, that night, of course, Nian the monster rushed into the village, and he was drawn to the woman's house. Maybe he smelled some good food cooking there. We don't know. Nian discovered the old man. The old man was draped in red clothing. So if you're draped in something, guys, it's a piece of cloth. Usually you just throw over your shoulders, perhaps. So he's got red clothing, or there's some red cloth on him. At the same time, he's setting off firecrackers.
Boy, he knows how to have fun there. He was wearing red clothing, maybe draped in that clothing. It was kind of loose over his body, and he was setting off those firecrackers. Bum, 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 bam, bam, bam. And the beast, trembling in fear of the red paper pasted on the door and the loud explosions, fled, never to return. So the monster thought, oh, that's scary. An old man wearing red and red couplets on the door, and those firecrackers going off. I am frightened. I am scared. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to vamoose. I'm going to scram. I'm never coming back to this village again. It's too scary. So the beast was trembling in fear. Trembling here could also mean you're shaking. The ground trembles when there's an earthquake, for example. And so he was trembling in fear. He was shaking because he was scared, and he got out of there. He fled. He escaped, and he wasn't going to come back. Now, here in the next sentence it says, finding their village intact the following day, the villagers spread the word of their good fortune. If something's intact, that means it hasn't been destroyed. It's still in its original condition. And the old man's methods of warding off Nian endured and are still practiced today. So here we've got the phrase to ward off. That just means to stop something from causing trouble or damage.
Yeah, you get it to turn away, or you block it. So there's some way to block something, to repel something. So the old man's methods of warding off or blocking Nian from coming and hurting any more people endured. So what did he do? He wore red, had red draped over him, and used those loud firecrackers, which scared that little chicken monster. Chicken means you're not very courageous. So it's still working today because people continue to wear red and light those firecrackers.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation. We're going to talk some more about this tomorrow on Chinese New Year's Day, so please join us then. But before we say goodbye, we'd like to hear again from our Chinese teacher.
在第二段我们介绍了很多农历新年会看到的习俗。第二段的第二个句子写道 These customs are steeped in lore, having arisen from the ancient legend of Nian, a mythical beast. 在这里提到呢，这些习俗是充满在我们的传说当中。Steep 这个动词原本有浸泡，然后充满的意思。而后面提到了，在这样子的传说当中呢，它是源自于一个古老的年兽传说。Arise 在这里呢当作动词，而 arisen from 则是由什么引起的意思。 举个例子来说，他的疾病是因为缺乏休息而引起的，你就可以说 Her illness arose from lack of rest。而这都是由于呢，这个神话里面的这个野兽。后面的句子提到 Then on Chinese New Year's Eve, it descended on the villages far below, terrorizing the locals by devouring their livestock, crops, and even children. 到了呢这个除夕夜的时候，这个年兽就会走下山来到远处的村庄。在这里我们用了 descend 这个动词，本来是有下降也有突然袭击的意思。它呢到了村庄，然后呢就恐吓当地的居民，甚至呢会吞食农作物，甚至是孩童。在这里的 terrorizing 是源自于动词 terrorize， 也就是有恐吓的意思。devour 则是有狼吞虎咽的吃。接着在第3段，这里提到有一年当居民要离开的时候呢，这位呢老人出现在村庄里面，然后他却不想要逃走。第3段的第3个句子提到 Despite her warnings, the man insisted on staying, so the woman allowed him to take refuge in her house.Despite 是一个介系词，后面加上名词，解释成为尽管虽然。尽管呢妇人呢警告他不要留在这里，但是他还是 insisted on staying。Insist on doing something 也就是有坚持要做某件事情的意思。那要留下来怎么办呢？这位老妇人就允许他在家中里面避难。Refuge 在这里当作名词，解释成为躲避或者是避难所的意思。举个例子来说，在暴风雨当中呢，我们都躲在大树底下。In the storm, we took refuge under a big tree. 所以 take refuge in 也就是呢在哪边避难的意思。结果年兽冲进来了，这个老人就放鞭炮贴春联。在后面的句子还提到 The beast, trembling in fear of the red paper, pasted on the door, and the loud explosions, fled, never to return. 这个句子的主词是 the beast， 动词在后面的 fled， 他就逃跑了，再也不回来了。那么中间的插入句呢，则是叙述呢这个野兽呢因为害怕贴在门上的红纸跟巨响的爆炸而战斗着逃走。Trembling in fear 也就是因为恐惧而战斗着。要特别注意一下，这里的 pasted 是 VPP 表被动，因为这些红纸是被贴在门上的。OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
That's it for our program today, everybody. Hey, enjoy your Chinese New Year's Eve feast tonight. But don't overdo it because we want you to wake up tomorrow to listen to our program again if you feel like doing it. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
新年快乐!